Hello guys, and welcome to another video where today I'm going to be talking more about Season 9 and my ideas for it. I'm honestly thinking about trying to make it into a little series of my own and uploading the story onto my channel where I voice the characters and make the episodes separate and trying to at least upload once every week of the story. So this is episode 2 and here I go. So now Lloyd finds himself in the middle of the forest. After the elemental power of speed kicked in from when he was running, he realizes that he needs to learn to gain better control over all this power. And then Lloyd begins to walk further into the forest where he sees a ton of trees appearing and moving. Then he realizes that they are tree horns. So then Lloyd sees them and tries to activate his elemental power of energy, but fails and instead sets a bolt of lightning at it. This gets the tree horns' attention, and then they begin to go after him and attempt to attack him. Lloyd quickly reacts and tries to do Spinjitzu to knock them down. He is successful, but his Spinjitzu is all different colors, and for a split second, his Spinjitzu was a golden color. But then he got knocked over by the queen of the tree horns, and all the others begin to walk out of the way for her to finish the job. And then Lloyd attempts to make a powerful thunderbolt at it. He is successful and knocks over the queen, and then she quickly gets back up, and begins to retreat. So then all the others, the thunderbolt was so strong that it drained almost all of Lloyd's energy. It also made a loud noise of an explosion. Then he feeds to see that they are retreating. He wakes up in what seems to be a house. He turns over to see someone appearing to be cooking. He asks, "Who are you?" And then he turns around and says his name is Dr. Julian. Lloyd looks shocked and he notices and asks what's wrong. Lloyd turns to him and says, "It's nothing." Then Sane walks into the room and see Lloyd is awake. Then Lloyd asks who he was, not knowing it was Sane. And Sane says that his name is Sane and asks what his name was. He tells him that his name is Lloyd. Then Julian says, if it was not for my son Sane here, you would probably still be in the middle of the woods. When my son found you and brought you back here, you looked in very bad condition." Then Lloyd then says thanks. Juliet says that he's going to go finish up dinner, and that he can stay with them as long as he needs to. Lloyd slightly bows his head and says thank you. And then, as Zane's father begins to walk away to walk back to making a dinner, Zane sits next to him on the bed and asks where he's from and what happened to make him in such bad condition. Lloyd replies of saying that he was just hiking and got a little lost, and then attacked by tree horns. Zane looks shocked and asks how he fought him off alone. Lloyd says he does not exactly know what happened for him to fight them off. 1 second he was getting attacked, then it gone black, and he woke up in here. Zane looks confused, but quickly snaps out of it and replies, "Well, it's nice to have guests, and I'm glad I found you. And wherever that explosion came from, it must have ran them off. I can only imagine you got caught up in an explosion which damaged you so badly." And Lloyd replies, "Yeah, I'm going to guess that's what happened." Then Zane's dad calls over to them and says it's time for dinner, and Lloyd sits down once again. Lloyd sits down. And once again says thank you to Julian for letting him stay here and allowing him to eat with them. And he says with a smile, "It's no problem. I enjoy having guests." Zane nods his head, agreeing with his father. And then they all begin to eat, and after eating, they have all gone to bed. The next day, Lloyd was up nice and early, but Zane was already out of bed. Then he got up to seeing Zane's father and asked him where Zane was. Then he said, and then he turned around to him and said he's outside collecting wood. And then Lloyd says he will go out and help Zane, and quickly runs up the stairs and exits the door, where he sees Zane collecting wood as his father said he would. Lloyd then begins to walk up to Zane, where he was chopping wood up in the trees. Then Zane sees Lloyd and quickly jumps down the trees to say good morning to Lloyd. Lloyd replies saying good morning as well. Lloyd then asks Zane if he needed any help chopping wood. And then Zane says he's almost done, and that he was going into town to get some extra supplies. Lloyd asks him if he could go with him, and Lloyd says, yes, the more the better. With all this fighting between the Elemental Masters and Serpentine that been going on, it would probably be best to have a companion with me. And then they go inside and Zane quickly tells his father that they are going in town to get some supplies. And then his father nods his head, saying it's alright to go. And then they start to head out to town together. Lloyd and Zane make it to the town in one piece and begin to buy the things they needed. When all of a sudden a loud boom is heard outside the walls, and a ton of snakes begin to come in, invading the village. Lloyd grabs 2 swords from a barrack shop not too far away, and then he turns around seeing Lloyd being attacked by Zane being attacked by the snakes. Then out of nowhere, where the snakes were backed away from Zane and were struck with earth. And Lloyd begins to run out to Zane, asking if he was alright. Zane quickly gets back up and says he's fine. And then they both turn around to see that the Elemental Master of Earth was fighting off the snakes that attacked Zane. And then he drove off the snakes and turned back to the two. And seeing Lloyd had weapons, it was thinking he was trying to attack Zane. It started to charge up his power and to attack him, while giving a warning to back away from him, or he will fire. Then Lloyd quickly backs away from Zane, and then Zane turns and says, stop, he's not trying to harm me. Then Rocky begins to lower his attack. If you got any better names for him, leave that in the comments below. I'm still working on it. And did not shoot at Lloyd, believing Zane's words. Then a snake popped up and was about to attack Rocky. And then Lloyd quickly drew out his sword and knocked Rocky out, and used the Elemental Master of Earth to make an earthquake to knock the snake off his tracks, and drew his sword and knocked Rocky out of the way and used his sword to block the attack of the snake. Rocky then uses earth to make the snake go flying into a building and turns to Lloyd, who put his sword down after the snake was knocked off him and was looking towards Rocky. Rocky says thanks, and Lloyd says it's no problem. And then the other Elemental Masters show up and see Lloyd with the weapons and ask Rocky if he was alright or not. And they'd taken out the snakes on their part of the village, and everyone was safe. And when he did not show up to their meeting point, they came looking for him. Rocky says he's alright. Then Zane begins to walk up to Lloyd and says, Lloyd, we should get going now. I think I had enough snakes for one day. Lloyd looks towards Zane and then back to Rocky and passes him the sword. So, these don't belong to me. And he says, these don't belong to me. They belong to the blacksmith that made them. I was only using them while the attack was going on. Governor Wu looked towards Wu and asked him if he was training combat. Lloyd says, yes, I am training combat. And he also says that he's been training in combat since he was little and is very well trained in it. Then Rocky then says, truth be told, if it was not for him being around, I would probably be badly damaged right now. I thought I caught all the snakes, but I didn't. There was still one left, and it was about to attack me, but Lloyd here stopped it from attacking me. And then he remembers the little moment when he thought Lloyd used the elemental mass power of Earth, and then he asked Lloyd about it. How did you use the elemental power of Earth? Lloyd looks towards him, pretending to be confused, and says, I don't know what you mean. Then Rocky says that he's seen him make an earthquake. That's only something an elemental master of Earth could do. Garmadon and Wu look towards Lloyd with curiosity. Garmadon asks Lloyd if he was an elemental master or not. Lloyd then turns to Garmadon and says, No, I'm not. I have no idea what your friend has seen, but I did not use the elemental power of Earth. Sane then steps in and tells Lloyd that it's really getting late and he should head back before his father begins to worry. Lloyd then turns to Sane and says, Okay, let's go. And then Lloyd begins to walk away from the elemental masters along with Sane. And then Garmadon turns to Wu and asks him, Do you think we'll ever see the last of... Do you think this will be the last we see of this Lloyd? And Wu turns to Garmadon and says, Not one bit. Lloyd and Sane make it back to the house and go inside to see Sane's father making a stew. And then he sees the two enter the house, and then he turns to them both and says, There you two boys are. For a minute there, I was beginning to get worried. Sane then says, Yeah, we got a little interrupted, and Sane's father turns to Sane and asks him something happened while he and Lloyd were in town. Sane then says there was an attack on the village by Serpentine, but the elemental masters took care of it though. Sane's dad gets a worried look on his face, but it quickly goes away, and he says, The only thing that matters is that you're both safe. Come on, dinner's not going to eat itself. And then Lloyd once again sits down along with Sane and Sane's father. Then they all eat their meals and talk about what happened at the village. And then after they all ate and went back to sleep until the next day. Well guys, there's episode 2 of my Ninjago season 9. If you want to put down episode 1 in this much detail, then please leave it in the comments below. I would love to hear from you all. And thank you so much for watching, and until next time guys, bye!